I'm with Bishop E.W. Jackson, and you spoke today here at the Shepherd's Table, and you were talking about a lot of the issues that might impact this country, how important it is for pastors and Christians to be involved in the political process. And you're actually taking that a step further personally. Can you tell us a little about what's going on in your life?
Well, sure. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. That's not a decision I made lightly, but it's in part because I feel that clergy need an example of full engagement in the political process, and Christians need to be reminded we've got to be involved. It's not a matter of, well, that's not really our role and therefore somebody can do it, but we don't really want to do it. No, it's a responsibility. It's an obligation to do it. And so, yes, I'm a candidate for Lieutenant Governor and hoping to use that as a platform to stir Christians up and get them fully engaged in redeeming the culture and redeeming our country and, of course, the Commonwealth of Virginia.
I was talking to Steve Waters about this issue, and Steve was talking about one of the things that he had said that Pat McSweeney had said. We don't lose elections because we're not pro-life, and we're not pro-life. We don't lose elections. Let me start that again. We don't lose elections because we are too pro-life. We lose them because we're not pro-life enough. What do you think about that statement?
Look, I agree, and I don't know that it's a matter of not being pro-life enough. I think it's a matter of not apologizing for who we are, being forthright about it, expressing it with conviction in a way that the average American can understand. Think about the fact that I was born to a broken home. People seem to think I'm making a relatively decent contribution to life in our country, in our community, but I was born into poverty in a broken home. I was a perfect candidate for abortion. People don't understand that we are simply trying to protect the sacred lives of unborn children who will ultimately become you and me. And I think when you express it that way to Americans, that we're not trying to oppress women, but we're simply trying to protect the most innocent among us, I think the average American understands. And frankly, we've been winning the debate, so I don't know why anybody would suggest we should back off.
Absolutely. And winning the debates, I think that's a key point there, is that when someone tries to debate abortion with us, we turn and we look at them and we say, are you talking about you want to have the right to kill someone? Doesn't that seem like a powerful argument in itself? Is there much more that has to be said than that?
Well, it is, and I think there's a spiritual blindness. People want to try to treat unborn children as if they're something other. They're less than a person. And I remind people that they said the same thing about black people during the slavery era. They are persons. They are persons just like you and I are persons, just like a 5-year-old child is in a different place in development than a 14-year-old, like a 14-year-old is in a different place than a 55-year-old. But we're all human beings. And we all deserve to have our lives respected and protected. And you're right, I think it's a powerful argument. I think that's why it's winning. The last thing we need to do is back up. I think we need to double down and continue to persuade people, because I think that's the way that we're going to bring an end to what is really a horrible slaughter that's gone on for far too long.
So as far as politicians go, don't back off, don't slow down on life, or not just life, the moral issues, because we're talking about sort of this approach that people want to abandon moral issues overall. And you're saying that's not the way to go, right?
I don't intend to. Look, I think that one's politics should be an authentic expression of who you really are. I don't think you ought to try to change it or package yourself. I think people ought to have an honest view of who the person really is. If I don't talk about life, or if I try to act like, well, that's not a big issue to me, I'm lying, because it is an important issue to me. It's clearly not the only issue, but it's a very fundamental issue. And I think if you don't get that one right, I don't trust you to get any of the others right. So I want to make sure people understand where I stand on the issue. And I've had people who didn't agree with me say, but at least I respect you because you didn't try to hide it or fudge it. You're just forthright about it and put it out there. And I think we'll find more success in electoral politics if people know, well, at least this person's honest and I know exactly where he or she stands.
Outstanding. And how do people find out more about you and support you?
They go to jacksonforvirginia.org. That's our website, or they can Google my name, Bishop E.W. Jackson, and they'll find all that they need to know.
Well, the wonderful thing about ProLife Unity, our organization, is that we are not a nonprofit. We say what we want, do what we want. We can support whatever candidates we want, and you know what? Support candidates who are pro-life. And you know, it's an important thing that we get out there and support these candidates who take a stand. And you've been taking a stand. Speaking of which, what do you think about Governor Bob McDonnell and Ken Cuccinelli? They've also been very outspoken about the life issues, and yet there they are in office, right?
In office, and they've won overwhelming elections. I mean, it goes to show that what the mainstream media puts out, which is that the life issue is somehow antithetical to the best interests of women, is an absolute, palpable, damnable lie. And I think the average American understands that life is sacred, and they're not going to turn their backs on candidates because those candidates happen to believe that we ought to protect the lives of unborn children. And so, yes, I think you can find those examples all over the country. And so I'm urging conservatives, don't back off, but stand firm in your convictions, and people will respect that.